Yeah, that's way better for drawing stuff like this, guys. Like this is insanely better than drawing the other way. So we will remain as a horizontal. We will remain as a vertical thing. We're drawing animals. Aminos. Do, 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 do. So today we're drawing animals. So we're gonna draw animals of all kinds. We're gonna fill up a whole page with animals, and after that, I will take. Oh, actually, I will take questions as we go along. So if you guys have any questions, I can see the chat now, so I can actually answer your guys' thoughts. We're not gonna do any horizontal, like streaming anymore because you can't really see the chat. So if I can't see the chat, I can't answer your question. So that's kind of kills it. What are some things you struggle to executive? You mean to execute? If you mean execute, I am slightly colorblind. So realism with colors tends to be a little bit hard. Let's see, what else is hard for me though? Not much. Like there isn't much that I find challenging. Sequential art is just annoying. So things like comics tend to not be at the top of my list because I just don't like having to redraw the same character over and over and over, even if I am darn good at it. I'd rather just draw one-off illustrations so that I can actually move on to the things that I want quicker. Doing things like storyboards and stuff like that is always really fun for me. And I compare them a lot to doing kids' books. Uh, to do Spirit Retro, fair enough. Horizontal was great, but if you can't interact, yeah, that's a huge part of it. P.S. I draw with you, so I'm mostly a silent lurker. Hey, thank you, thank you for lurking. Lurking is good. Lurking is very acceptable. I like drawing pandas. Pandas are one of my favorite animals to draw. Yeah, I like drawing with you too. So always coming in near the end is a big bummer for me. Oh, well, you came in right at the beginning this time around, so don't worry. You good. Matthias, hi, when is your book coming out? And can you tell more about content in it? Well, the next book that's coming out is going to be the big book of little lessons or the big book of derpy animals. So that's going to be another addition to my art block books. So it's going to be book number 3 to the art block series. It's going to be number 3, and that's going to be a bunch of like 100 pages full of derpy animals and cute animals and stuff like that. So it'll be one for animals and one for quick lessons like the ones that we do every day. So we'll have one that it's like legs and feet and stuff like that. It'll be a gigantic book of those because we have so many. And I just got to go in and edit it a little bit so that it looks really nice. So that one's going to be one of the next ones, or the big book of derpy animals. So that's going to be book 3 and 4 for the art block series. Vile, I'm trying to draw along, but I keep losing my pencils. Well, then always have some handy, man. Can't be losing your pencils. Kiko, hi. Lionheart32, what is the order you want to learn how to draw the human anatomy, such as moving the head and then down or vice versa? Thank you for what you do. Ooh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. So I have come to the conclusion, after trying to teach people how to draw things, that you need to learn how to draw the chest first. The reason being, drawing the chest and learning how to draw a proper rib cage is one of the key components in understanding how everything else is placed. This has so many little keys to it that give you access to knowing where everything else goes. Really, really easy. If you start with the head, you're always going to have like a weird understanding of your body compared to your head, and you might get a lot of times where your head is really big and your body's not quite how it's supposed to be. And maybe it's a little smaller, maybe it's a little bigger, and you're going to end up in situations where connecting it with the neck is going to be more of a style. You're going to end up tapering things like from nothing, connecting to nothing, creating a style-based learning system that is not going to be conducive to being able to rotate this or turning this in any other direction, because you're always going to try to magically have a neck there because you don't know how it connects. Things like the underneath the jaw are going to be complicated for you because this connection is not going anywhere. So if you don't know where things connect, it's really hard to explain how different parts of the body work. So understanding the rib cage is the very first part that you should learn. Move on to understanding how your hip bones connect. And then from there, you can progress onto the face or the arms or the legs. Either one of those is acceptable to move on to after you learn how to draw a proper torso. And in my opinion, that is the easiest way to learn how to go from top to bottom. So I'm gonna draw some animals too. Yay, animal time. Animal time. We're gonna draw some red pandas. Animal time. Makes a squishy, adorable pandas. I love drawing red pandas because they're little potatoes. The little tiny potatoes. And if you draw big floofy tails, they look really cute. And you can draw them with nature really easy, and it looks really, really pretty. So I'm gonna draw some animals too. I'm a big fan of doing chunky legs. What's your favorite way of doing legs? Ooh, so I like drawing my legs really curvy. So the way that I like to draw, and the reason that I learned to draw anatomy in general, was to be able to draw really sexy females, right? And so I spent a lot of time figuring out how to get this look from legs. So when I discovered that all you really need to do is understand how the hip bones work, right? If you learn how the hip bones work, anything you draw from here is going to look like a proper leg. Regardless if you draw a nice sexy leg or if you draw a nice little cartoony leg. Everything is going to look okay and kind of look like a leg if you draw it coming from an angle from a hip bone section like this. This can also turn into absolutely any kind of leg. This can be a little elephant leg. This can be a little like horse leg, stuff like that. It's going to be a little bit easier to understand once you come to the conclusion that everything can be a cylinder coming from there, right? All this is two cylinders, a bunch of cylinders coming from there. This is a cylinder, and the reason that a cylinder makes sense from that section is because you have a circle as a connecting point. If you have a circle, all you got to do is come up with two more circles, connect the edges, and you have a foot. If you throw it in perspective like I did, you can make it go down. You could make it go up if you make this bigger. So the bigger you make the circle than the original, it comes into perspective. If you throw it and you make it smaller than the one there, it goes to the back. Ta-da! What is your thought process on practicing penmanship? Penmanship is going to be essentially this. Practice doing circles. Practice doing circles and connecting those circles inside of circles, draw those circles, and then draw other circles inside of those. Essentially, you got to just get so comfortable drawing a curvature in different levels that you can just very easily draw curvy lines quickly, because most of the body is very curvy lines. Facial expressions are curvy lines. Everything's a curvy line. So if you get used to drawing these confidently, not only are your shapes going to be a little bit better, right? Because you're going to have the ability to draw a little bit of three-dimensionality to everything now. But you're also going to be able to draw things like anything circular easier. And when you start combining those things around, that's how you start getting things like legs and arms and limbs and fingers and stuff. Meh. Let's see, I'm going to try to answer all the questions. So I'm a big fan of doing chunky legs. I already answered that. I will be buying one of your books soon. Yay! Thank you, Kiko. Realm of Solo, what is your thoughts process on practicing penmanship? Well, I already answered that. Michael Petherick, I have an anatomy question too. When a character is sitting on a chair, does the pelvic bone make contact with the surface or the fat pads on the bum? Well, if you're trying to make a person sitting down, right, the first thing that I would do is I would draw the surface in which the person is going to be sitting down on. If it's a chair, it would be something as simple as a couple boxes bent together or two L shapes, and then you just connect all the edges, right? Something like that is very acceptable as a chair. Now, I already have perspective in the form of these legs, right? So my legs are going to mirror those lines. I already have something that's on the ground, so I already have perspective lines. So the moment that I have two elements that I can map out in space, that I officially have a ground. If I have a ground, I can draw things on the ground like the bottom of my feet. If the bottom of my feet is touching the ground, that means that that's where my ankle is. My ankle goes up to my kneecap and connects as a cylinder. As a cylinder. My thigh connects to my pelvic bone at an angle, right? So I'm going to put this pelvic bone right here on the chair. And then I'm just going to connect my edges. If you want to sit more down, move the pelvic down a little bit more so it sits a little bit closer to the ground. And then you have the character's body coming up from there. You can also draw a beanbag to just generate the volume that you need for your character on top of the chair. Come up with your circles for your hip bones, and then figure out where you want the rest of your legs to go. Same thing with your arms and stuff. So is your thought, that's my thought process on to sit a person down. You would kind of guide yourself more with the pelvic bone, I guess. So to answer your question, more so than your butt, because your butt has squishy muscles. So when you sit down, even if you have like a really big booty like this, right? The moment you sit down, it flattens out to the surface that you're sitting on. So even if you have a voluptuous butt, when you sit down, it flattens out. Boop. So that is why you should not base it on the actual, and base it more on the actual hip bones. Lionheart, thank you. Can say, bro, can you draw the background? The background of what? You want me to draw a background? Let's draw a background. All right, so we have a line, we have something, have a scene. We're gonna draw myself right here. And I'm going to be drawing like Bob Ross. There you go. Spirit Retro, I went through pretty much the same process, but stuck with chunky legs because there's something so satisfying about chunky legs. Hey, more power to you. How do you approach the hips from top down? So if you are drawing a character and you have your rib cage and you're looking down, right? Your hip bones are still just a cylinder in space. So draw like a little beanbag and then slice off 2 circles on the bottom. And you can get your hip bones and your legs looking down. If you're looking more of a straight pose, you have your rib cage, you would have your hip bones at an angle, and these would point down. Does that make sense? How do you approach the hips from top to bottom? Like a character lunging towards you. Oh, okay. So a character lunging towards you. So if a character is like running towards you, you would have your initial circles, and then you would make one leg really foreshortened, and then the other leg maybe coming back to the back. If you're like lunging forward, that could be one way of lunging forward. Or if you're jumping towards a character, like if you have like the superhero pose, like the anime stuff, right? Where you have like everything and then you have your hip bones and then that character is coming towards you. Like a ninja parkouring or something, right? Something like that. Anyways, I hope that's something like that. Can you write V? I don't know what you're talking about. L Star, so happy to catch a live. I've been enjoying your videos indefinitely. Yay! I'm struggling with drawing lips and the mapping points. Lips, 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 lips. Lips are easy. Lips are actually really, really easy. Like, it's one of the easier body parts to draw. The mouth in general is actually quite simple. The mouth is going to be an element that fits within this little spacing of your actual face. Okay? If you divide your head into sections like this, you have the ability to understand the limitations of where your mouth is. So any shape that you draw within this space, which is like a little teardrop that comes from your nose canal, if you get used to drawing two little lines in the proper spacing, you can come up with mouths really easy. That line is going to be a nice, big, dark line for the top lip and a thinner line for the bottom. And check it out how the top one overlaps it. Okay? That is a big component. Negative space will give you the mouth shapes that you want. If you want volume, like really cute, voluptuous lips for girls, draw that same line, draw that same intersecting line, draw whatever details you want for your teeth, and then the volume comes up from here. So start at a flat edge. This is important. Start at a flat edge and then trace it into the flat, give it volume, and into the flat. Same thing here. The volume always stays within that line. So, curvy line, volume for your upper lip if you want it, a smaller, thinner line inside, and negative space can give you a nice, big, full upper lip, and a little indication of the bottom lip can be enough to be able to indicate a really nice lower lip. If you want something with a little V here, you can change this shape up any way you want. This can be any shape. This one can be any shape too, right? Some people have like a little divot in the middle. Draw that part first, and then you draw your lips tapering down to a flat edge. That is such an important component. You got to remember that the sides of the mouth are flat edges, right? Flat edges is what gives you that shape that you need. If you just draw this, it's going to look like shit. If you just expand it a little bit, you actually get the lip shape that you need. So that's just a nice little tip from your good friend Rod. I'm struggling with drawing lips. Now you don't. How can I draw models? Well, what I'm guessing is that you want to draw really sexy people. Probably sexy fit people. So for a male, you would give that character a big upper body, small hips, and possibly really large muscly like legs. Right? And when you start adding different features like a really strong jaw, some good hair, you start getting somebody that ends up looking kind of appealing, aka a model or an actor or something along the lines of that. So that is how I would approach drawing the body type for a male model, I guess. And if I wanted to draw more of an athletic female, I would draw a small rib cage, bigger hips, and then enhance any elements like the boobs or the breasts that you would like to enhance. And taper things according to how much voluptuousness you want. But the approach is very similar. How to draw in 1, 2, 3 point perspective. See, the thing is, I don't ever draw with 3 point perspective. Let's see. 1 point perspective is if you have a horizon line, and you have 1 point, anything you draw leads to that point, and that's how you get perspective for that 1 point. Right? Every line goes to that 1 point. So any box you draw ends up going to that point. That's 1 point perspective. 2 point perspective is that same vanishing point. Let's say you have 2 points that you have to go to. So now any line that you draw goes to both of them, and you can determine length and width and height and stuff by connecting it to both of them. This is good for buildings and architectural stuff and stuff like that, because it's really easy to just go over that same line and then just create a lot of volume really, really quickly. And if you start going into different places, you can start getting the other sides of the street and all that. All right. So that is why that's used a lot for buildings and backgrounds and stuff like that. Now, 3 point perspective consists of the 2 points that we used before, and then we have a third one at the top. So whenever you're drawing, you have to consider all 3 points, I believe. Let's see. If we had like a line right here, we can start just generating things by going into them like that. So everything would also get tapered up to the top. So you'd get with like a really forced upwards perspective for like skyscrapers and stuff like that. So 3 point perspective does that. Fisheye perspective is a 4 point perspective system where you have top down. So you know how we added one here? We have one more at the bottom. But the way that this works is a little bit different because the lines tend to be curved like a globe. And then you use those guidelines to be able to draw yourself buildings in fisheye perspective. Right? They no longer become straight lines, they become curvy lines. And that is how you get reflections and shit like that from water and stuff. So that's fisheye perspective. Ta-da! The top-down hip explanation helped. I like to draw Marvel, Spider-Man, Wolverine. Yeah. So if you wanted to draw like Wolverine and stuff like that, or like Spider-Man, I love drawing Spider-Man a lot. So I would draw Spider-Man by drawing his rib cage and then drawing his whole leg system like sushis. Like straight up sushis are you're gonna be your best friend for things like Spider-Man and stuff like that because their nature is to be a little bit random. Let's see, we have our head, shoulder, shoulder. Drinking a Slurpee. And some buildings in the back. Clothing, huh? Yeah, clothing is easy. Drawing clothing that actually looks appealing definitely has a certain trick to it. Yes, so clothing in themselves is going to be more about learning the volume of your actual body parts and then learning to enhance that volume. So let's say that you have a very basic leg like this, right? It's just a little tube, but you have perspective lines because you're able to draw a cylinder inside. These lines can easily just be used by making them a little bit larger, filling in the negative space, and now you have something like shorts. Something like pants, you would just go down a little bit more, and you would have a very basic concept of pants. So as you learn volume, you understand a little bit of how to very easily manipulate these volume lines to create different clothing. When you understand volume for feet, that's how you're going to understand how to draw every single kind of shoe. You're not going to be stopped by anything because you're just going to be able to replicate those shapes. Things like heels become really easy too. Heels in themselves are just your heel getting lifted, right? And then volume, and then touches down. So feet and shoes become really, really simple. Incredibly simple, like down to the point where it's almost comical how easy it is to draw feet. Volume. What do we make this one, a boot? Let's make it into a boot. And I want you guys to see how I'm doing it so that you understand that it's an achievable thing. I'm not trying to show off. I'm not trying to like just, make you guys feel bad because you guys can't do it yet. I'm showing you guys that it's gonna become a natural concept that does not need to be an intimidating concept, okay? Once you understand the concept of volume and then you just learn how to just draw lines inside, it's going to be a matter of just choosing which of these lines do you want to be to creating depth and perspective and detail and all that stuff. Okay? The guidelines will be there for you. You just have to choose what you want to do with them. So feet come down to this very basic concept. It's going to be a cylinder going all the way down to your ankle. And then here, you can create a little cone. If you manage to learn how to draw a cone and the cylinder, you have the ability to draw legs really easy. If you learn how to draw your legs like this, and that's all you know how to do, turning this into this is really easy by drawing a circle that gives you perspective throughout your entire shape. And then you can use these lines to get volume for the placement of your leg. So if you only know how to draw your legs like this, right? Now you know how to add volume to give them perspective. And clothing becomes second nature when you learn how to see those very basic guidelines. Okay, well, drawing feet is hard. I swear volume hates me. Volume does not hate you. Volume loves you. You just need to learn how to see it. And that comes from drawing exercises like cylinders, where you draw circles inside, where you try to map out both sides of the cylinder. That was a fun one for people. So start with this, draw 2 points and connect them, 2 points, connect them, 2 points, connect them. And then you connect the outside edge, connect the inside edge. Ta-da! Now you have created a complex platform that split that cylinder in half. So understanding volume is not just about doing this, right? And then like magically hoping that you understand it. No, it's about understanding this by making sure you understand it. Taking a circle, drawing a circle inside, coming up with mapping points like this across it, you know, color coding different sections so you know that there are different volumes to this, cutting parts out of your shapes, learning how that volume gets affected. Things like that is what exercises you need to do if you want to be able to draw things like this really easy, right? If I want to draw a really cute little panda character, what I'm imagining in my head is a bunch of lines like this that let me know, well, this is where my mouth can be. My eyes will guide me here. Even something as simple as a little panda drawing can be aided infinitely by little tiny guidelines. And then the better you get at it, the easier it is for you. Can you draw a paper dragon? Paper dragon. Is that like a specific thing, or is a dragon made out of paper? So if you wanted to make a dragon, but a dragon made out of paper might be a difficult task because I don't know how I would represent that. So not really sure what you mean by that. Can you draw an anime comic style leg? Well, what do you mean by that? So, if you have legs, right? If you want a comic book leg, I'm assuming that you want something like this. Right? And I think that's what you are aiming for when it comes down to a comic book leg. And then you want to be able to move that in space. And you want to be able to adjust that and move it and have different poses and foreshorten things and stuff like that, right? So, yeah, so start with a cylinder, curve, make these little things angle in a little bit on the bottom. And then from there, it's going to be teardrop into overlapping teardrop. And that's going to give you that shape. Okay? Teardrop from your cylinder into overlapping teardrop into your foot. And that's going to give you all the information that you need. I don't think Rodgon knows what. But people draw dragons first to like a dragon. You mean puppet or paper? You said paper. Spirit, retro, anime style, chibi, cartoon, shonen, shoujo. I'm not gonna just jump and draw all things anime because anime is not that hard to draw, right? A chibi character is just a character that has really little features. Right? Actually, it's a character that has really big head and really little features. Right? If you learn how those features work, you can draw that character in any pose you want. Because it's literally the easiest thing in the world because they're little nubbies. Little chibi rod. So if you want chibi style characters, understanding your very basic components like your hip bones and your arms still is important because it helps you understand how your characters are supposed to actually move. Like people make drawing. You are an artist. Yes, I am an artist. I should have specified yeah, I don't understand what you guys are talking about anymore. But anyways, this is essentially the concept behind chibis. It's going to be the same concept as if you applied it to a larger character. If you understand the very basic concepts of body structure, you can take that, just make it longer, and you have yourself a taller character. I missed the hair lesson. It'll be on YouTube at some point. I'm gonna see if I can upload all of them today, and then just have like the videos like kind of like stagger, and then just upload throughout the week. You will make a puppet out of it? All right. I'll take you up on that. I'll take you up on that. I'll draw a dragon if you are going to make a puppet out of it. Do I get the puppet? Do I get to keep the puppet? Let's see. We'll draw one right here. Sweet. Awesome. Okay, let's draw a dragon. Let's see. Do we want to make it creepy or do we want to make it cute? And do we want to make it a puppet, like a hand puppet? So if we're going to do a hand puppet, I'm going to draw a hand real fast. All right. I'm going to draw a general hand. Just so I know where my puppet's going to go. And then from here, let's make it a really cool dragon. I have no idea. I'm just gonna draw like a dragon, and if they can do it, that's great. If they can't do it, that's great. Let's see. If this can be made into a puppet. There you go. You have a dragon. Woohoo! Now, let's see what you do with this. Feel free to take a screenshot. Am I a real artist? I am imaginary. I'm ethereal. I face in and out of reality. What colors? If you want to make it pink, anything with pink is good. Okay, so is there techniques I use to block out noses? There is definitely techniques that I use to block out noses. Mostly it's a triangle though. To draw noses. No, shit, we're almost at like an hour. Noses. So I start all my faces with a triangle, right? Like, so whenever I'm drawing a face, my guidelines are a midline and a triangle. That triangle gives me all the guidelines that I need for the rest of my face. That's why I like drawing a triangle. From that triangle for a nose, all I gotta do is draw a dot to how far out I want my nose and connect all 3 points to it. I can consider these two the little areas for my nostrils, and I just decide a styling for my nose. The shadows are already given to me, and I can do this really, really quickly. So that is why I like drawing my shapes from a triangle. Well, no, one of my inner voices escaped and became a YouTuber. Am I lit? Not much. Okay, so that's cool. I never thought of using a nose as a landmark. Yeah, like, well, if you use the nose canal for your nose as a landmark, it gives you a perfect mapping of your head really, really quickly. Like, ridiculously quickly. And you are able to play around with drawing without guessing as much anymore. So that's why, and it also makes any head out of any shape. So you can make any shape that you draw into a proper head by doing it like that. Right? And it's not relegated to a certain style. It's something you can do whatever styling you want with this. Just draw your shapes according to whatever styling you want. Me crying because I know I won't be able to be as good as RODGON because my drawing. Okay, so first of all, dude, never talk bad about yourself. Okay, never talk bad about yourself. Okay, let me explain to you why. And it's just quite important that you understand that you should never put yourself down because you personally are your biggest fan of your skill set. Like whatever you do with your career, no one will be a bigger fan of it than you, right? No one. No one will ever understand how important this is to you, and they'll never really understand. Not it doesn't matter who it is, they just won't get it, right? So if you are your number one fan and you are trashing on yourself by saying that you're not good, you'll never get there. And even though I know that you mean it as a compliment, don't say shit like that because it's going to just make you feel like crap. Like, what would you think if your biggest fan every day kept telling you that you weren't shit? How often, how quickly do you think you would break down and really like, because that's the person you trust the most, right? Your biggest fan. So if you are a person that you trust constantly tells you you're shit, you're garbage, how are you going to feel about yourself? You know? So try not to be mean to yourself. Enough people will try to be mean to you as is. You don't need to add to the fire to make it worse. But yeah, this technique can work really easy in a bunch of different ways. There is no set style for it. It's not a style-based thing. It's more so a mapping system thing so that you can use it to understand how to draw your characters a little bit better. You are your greatest fan and critic. Yeah. So pretty much anytime that I hear anybody talk bad about themselves, I give you two options, right? You can either change your attitude or just don't say it to me because I don't like hearing it. Twix the Fox. Guys, Rodgon needs more subscribers. Tell me why he's so understanding. He actually cares about his subscribers. Like, wow. Dude, nobody. See, I like to think about it like this, you know? Like, you gotta care about people in your community as much as how you would want people to care about you. And that is what I do. Like, the reason that I do what I do is because I want to demonstrate people care the way that I wish that I would have received it when I was younger. I've always wanted a mentor. I've always wanted a person to guide me without requiring money in return all the time, right? I always wanted a mentor, somebody that actually gave a fuck, just enough of a hell, like just cared enough to understand that maybe it's harder for me than other people. Right? And then maybe having someone explain things while they're doing it on like in person helps out some other people, you know, instead of just giving a guideline and like videos and stuff like that that you can't ask people in. There's so many different reasons why I do what I do. But at the end of the day, I just like teaching a lot. And teaching is something that I'm good at. And I want to make that into the latter part of my career. I've already done the whole production work, and I've worked in, like, not studios, but I've worked for gigantic companies worldwide, right? I've worked for editorial companies. I've worked for so many people. And I think it's time that I stop doing that. I do a fair amount of mentoring myself on Discord. That's really cool. So you no longer recommend drawing faces as circles first. You know, once you understand the mapping system, like whatever mapping system helps you understand volume better is going to be it. So I started drawing them as cylinders because it's easier for me to find that volume as a cylinder. Whenever I'm drawing it connected to the body, the way that I draw my bodies allows me to use a cylinder really easy to understand even difficult positions for myself. Because between the triangle and the cylinder, you have a very easy to understand system for your head. So the reason that I draw as a cylinder is because I get all these lines that go around my shape already, and I can just choose which ones I decide to use for my neck, for my jaw, for my temples. I already have my eye line perfectly set in because it's the cylinder line, and I just get to render it any way that I feel like. So to me, this is much more intuitive than drawing it the way that other people do it. Hey, Rodgun, when you see this, could you maybe explain how you draw glasses? I know it seems dumb. No, it does not seem silly. And glasses is something that I struggled with for a long time because it's an external shape to the face, right? So once you have your little mapping system like this, right, and you find where your side of your face is and the front of your face is, once you understand this, glasses become easy because all you got to do is just go around your eye socket with whatever shape you need. So you already have the landmarks. With those circles, you already have the landmarks. You just have to draw whatever styling you want for them. So, one more time. Triangle, follow the guidelines. The line gives me a teardrop. This gives me kind of like an infinity sign around my eyes. The top of this is my eyebrow line, so I can change the top of my eyebrows, but the bottom one doesn't change because that's your cheekbone. So your eyes fall in the middle, eyebrow line, mouth, pyramid for nose, and then glasses can just be around that eye socket. Hiya. I adopted the cylinder system too because it helps me tailor the shape language for the way I want. Yeah. Hi, Rodgon. I love your stuff. Struggle most with exaggerated expressions like the eyebrows and the mouth placements. Well, let me explain to you how that works, kinda. And then I believe we're about an hour in, so we're going to call it quits in a little bit just so I can get some food. I haven't eaten all day, so I need to make sure that I eat some food. Like, I need to start taking care of myself a little bit better. So I might jump on again a little bit later. And I think that when I'm on YouTube, though, I think I'm gonna do it kind of like a dueling piano bar thing, right? I'm gonna see YouTube as a slightly more direct lesson plan. So I'm gonna allow people that do super chat donations to get priority on the questions. So if you donate anything here for the super chat, I will answer your question first and more in detail as well. So if you guys have something that you guys really want to know, great. Donate this, donate a little bit, and then I will do that. And we will test out that system at some point. Ended up scrambling the word. Sorry. Ragon, what if you don't have TT? I don't have TT TikTok. Well, that's why I do it here. I do streams here and I do streams on TikTok. I try to make it so it's multiple avenues in which I can go on. That way, whenever one of them bites the bullet, which they always do, I'm not shit out of luck and without an audience again. Can you draw a flower? I'm doing it for the dragon. A flower? So if I wanted to draw a flower, I could draw the stem of the flower. And then depending on what type of middle I need, like pollination or whatever, and then I can draw my petals around my flower. Always using my guidelines, always, always, always. And always keeping in mind perspective. Mm-hmm. We are super chatting for questions. Worked out super well for questions. Yeah, that was actually really nice. Next time, Rodgon, you could always start a community Discord. You know, I have one. I have a Discord. I just never go on it because I feel ashamed because I haven't actually checked it in so long. You know, like, and I started it for my subscribers on TikTok, on Instagram. And, you know, like, I feel like shit because I hate excluding people. Like, I honestly hate excluding people from anything. So, even though it is a paid thing and like people are wanting to get exclusivity, that alone makes me cringe, right? Like the fact alone that if I do something for my subscribers and like if I share it online with the rest of the people in the world, they're gonna be like, "Well, it was for us. Why did you share it with other people?" Like one human being complained about that. One, and that was enough for me to be like, "Fuck that." Like, like, like I don't like that. I really don't. So even if it means I don't get more money and I don't get that extra $30 or $50 or $100 because of the subscribers, right? Like I'd rather just not do that, not deal with feeling bad about leaving people out just because I want a little bit of money. It's never been about the money. And when I start thinking about it being about the money, it just shuts me down so quickly. It just makes me feel like shit. Also, if you're confused about the paper dragon puppet, I'm not going to search anything right now. I'm drawing. I can't pause things so that I can go search a topic. But I appreciate you, man. I get you only caught your streams a few times. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. How much it sucks when like someone gives you free lessons and free stuff, and then they don't give you the all the information because then they like want you to pay to like actually learn the whole comprehensive method and stuff. Like, you know how fucking shitty that is? Like giving people access to some of the information, some of it, enticing them, and then snatching it away from them when they actually are able to learn something. That is what most people do, right? That is how most people like you get the hook and then that's how you make your money. You know what, dude? Like I fucking hate that. Like I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I've been a salesman my whole life and I hate it. I absolutely hate doing that. Like I just want corporations to pay me like through like grants and shit because I'm doing something nice. And then I don't know, you guys don't ever have to spend a dollar. Like that is my goal. My goal is to be able to find someone in the government that actually understands this shit so that I can get like a I don't know, like a grant for like teaching people like something every single day that's valuable. And then I don't know, life skills, and then just have them pay for my expenses. That is the ideal situation. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not trying to be a cringe or anything. Now, I don't need any sort of the only thing that I require, I know that I have a good teaching method, right? So all I require from my followers is to just share any of my crap. If you guys share any of my stuff with anyone, like that alone is gigantic step forward for me. But I do appreciate any help that anybody ever provides. Do, do, do. It always comes across as marmy, that hook to sell. Yeah, I know, man. It sucks. I hate it. Yes, if you don't need me anymore, if I can manage to teach you enough stuff where you don't have to ask me anything anymore, I have succeeded as a teacher. That is very true. And that's all started from me not wanting people to go to art school. Because I don't think people should pay to go to art school. So try not to be that we have one masterful skills. Thank you. Rodgun, if you ever go to an art teacher in school, I will be there. You know what? I've been offering myself up. Like I've been actually like putting myself up. If anybody has a teaching position that you guys know needs to be filled within your school and they're willing to pay to help me pay for relocation, like I'm fucking down. Like honestly, I'm down. Like I'll go like overseas. I'll go to France. I'll go to Germany. I don't have kids. I don't have a wife. I don't have a dog. I don't have anything. There's nothing holding me back from just traveling the world and teaching people as many places as I'm welcomed in. Yeah. Can you draw a plane? Yeah. Depends on like what kind of plane do you want to draw? Do you want to like most planes, I believe, have like a front like that, like a dolphin head. And then they go from side to side. And then they have the back parts and they have the turbines. And then they have all the windows and the emergency stuff and the pilot stuff. Maybe it's a little bit more round. You're the nicest person I've talked to on a live. Most people ignore me. The thing is, I don't know what people do on lives, honestly. Like, most people tell me that. Even TikTok and YouTube tell me that I have more audience engagement than a lot, like 98% of the people that go live. So it's actually quite fascinating to know that I'm actually entertaining or like for some reason people actually enjoy watching me. Him making everything look easy, me trying to draw right now, making a huge heck. It'll come. You know, it comes with patience. It comes with understanding that it's not going to come right away. And as you get just more confident drawing things, you end up with the ability to be able to draw a combination of those awesome things all the time. The more people in the live stream, the harder it is to engage because people get buried. Yeah, I guess. JQ question: when we buy your book in digital form, are the pages printable? Yeah, it's just a PDF, so you can do whatever you want with it. Yeah. A lot of people buy the digital version and then they go and then they put it in Procreate. They open the individual pages in Procreate and then they just draw over the designs. So, but if you buy the printed one or you print it yourself, you can just draw over the drawings all the time. And that's really cool. I have 3 and I have 4 books. They're all in my link in my bio. Did I have any favorite cartoons growing up? Yeah, I had a few. There was one called Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. And all the characters had like this weird lump on the side of their face. And the problem was that I learned how to draw like that so well that I used to draw that lump on everybody that I used to draw. So I used to think that that was just a given on every face, right? I always thought that I had to have some sort of protrusion coming out of here to be able to give myself a three-quarter face. But that was just completely wrong, and that was just a style thing that took me years to break. Hey, Rodgan, I'm sorry I keep asking weird as heck questions, but maybe you can draw Michael Myers. I don't know who Michael Myers is. I think Michael Myers is one of the killers, right, from Halloween. But I forget if it's the one that has like the really like broken mask that just looks like bleh. So if it's a mask and the mask has a hole and then your eyes are underneath that hole. But again, I don't know what the mask is, and I don't know, like, I know it's like all chewed up, maybe, I think. But in all reality, I have no idea what Michael Myers looks like, so that's why it would be really hard for me to draw him. It's like a hockey mask? Kind of like that. And then he has a knife, right? He's like, "Wee, wee, wee, wee." You mastered the good head. Yay, good. For a future live streamer, I got a fun little challenge for you, Rodgon. Draw some Ed, and Eddie style expressions. I don't remember exactly what Ed, and Eddie looks like, but I remember they were like super like sketchy, right? They had like a lot of sketchy, wiggly lines. It kind of looks like an Invader Zim one, though. Everybody knows Freddy. If I did, you know Michael Myers is based on the. Anyways, let's go back to drawing heads. Like we said, any priority for questions, if you guys want to have anything answered, it's that little super chat option thing. If you guys do that, you guys get your answer right away. Just joined in. What are we learning today? And what are you switching from TikTok to YouTube or do both? I'm just testing out YouTube. I'm testing out to see if it's something that's viable. So I'm doing YouTube in the afternoons and I'm doing TikTok in the mornings. He does both. Yeah. For me, it's a little too easier. Yeah. Sometimes it's easier for YouTube for people. Some people like TikTok more. But seeing as I am a people pleaser, I want to make sure that I am able to comply for everybody's sake. Such an easy method of drawing heads. Like, it's so easy. It's so freaking easy. For me, at least, YouTube is easier, yeah. Like, heads with that method is just so simple. So simple. And you have them drawing in different directions and stuff. It just simplifies everything so much. Can you draw a person that would look like a Karen? So let's see. A Karen would have like, what's the Karen haircut? It's like spiky and then like flowy, I think. Right? It's like always like, for some reason, it's like this. And then a lady that's a Karen would be like, so they would probably have a snooty nose. They would have one eyebrow down, being all snarky and shit. You need to add the finger, like, I need to talk to your manager, please. And the lips would be like puckered up, like blah, 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 blah. This is not a soy latte. Do you have any tips on breaking down different styles? I like using your face mapping methods over drawings like artists. Okay, so let me show you how you can take this drawing like method, right? This concept of drawing the triangle and just following the lines. This can be applied to a gigantic amount of styles. It just depends on how you apply those lines and the proportions that you choose. So let's say that you just wanted a normal basic cartoon style, like for portraits, for like caricatures and stuff like that. You can use something like this to come up with your necks, your bodies, your heads. Really easy, right? Portraiture, little caricatures for your friends, stuff like that. That's the easiest way to approach it. You could draw bigger eyes inside, and all of a sudden, that goes from a very portraity look to more of a cartoony look. If I don't add a lot of details and I keep it nice and simple, the character looks a lot more cartoony. Or I can go with more detail and more anatomy and create something more along the lines for comics or something more semi-realistic like fantasy stuff or whatever. The level of rendering that you choose for your characters is going to be up to you. It's not going to be up to anybody else except for you. What I'm providing you is not a way to draw in a style. It's a way to understand how your face actually works so that you can apply the styling of your choice to it. I've been developing my own version of manga meets Western comic styling myself. That's awesome. That's fantastic. So, anime meets Western manga, let's see. So, if I had to do like anime combined with something else. Let's see. Anime combined with retro Disney style. So we're gonna have like the anime hair. Right? Have some anime hair. We can have like the anime jaw, nice and sharp. We're gonna draw the anime nose, which is just a little triangle. The mouth will be something simple along the lines of a line and then an overlapping line underneath. And then let's combine that with some old school Mickey eyes. But I also want anime eyelids. And big, sharp eyebrows. Ta-da! Combining elements and styles are just, it's going to come down to how much you can actually learn to copy later on. Like if you understand how to draw things with hair, all of a sudden drawing things like Wolverine isn't very hard, is it? Right. Do you have any tips on drawing multiple images on the same character, of the same character? I recommend that you just practice drawing that character really close to each other in different angles. So draw it right there. If you want that same character over here, try to draw it in a slightly different angle. If you see that it's sparingly like adjusted on the spot. And you can use ghosting and stuff like that to be able to learn better if you have like a digital program. And ghosting essentially is like drawing a character in a certain way and then layering another layer and then using that same guideline to be able to understand how it would look like at a different angle. You can do that very simply with rotating the face, draw one lightly, and then figure out your other landmarks and then learn how to draw it in the other way. That is very basic animation concepts that can help you be able to achieve a more deeper understanding of your characters as well. Okay, dude, please stop spamming. I already drew your Karen, so don't keep spamming that. How much can you learn to marry together and to solve the problems? What? Do you have plans to make a Discord server? I already have one. I just don't do it. I have one. I have a Discord. I just don't use it because like I already live online, dude. Like I just don't have one because I don't you guys are kind of crazy. You know, like it's like watching like puppies all the time. It's like I need to make sure that people aren't being weird and like racist and stuff like that because I've had a couple. So it's like the time that it takes for me to go on there every day, make sure that everything is not being like, you know, overrun by some weird, crazy, racist person is so difficult. Do you have plans to make? Yeah, so no Discord server right now. Do, 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 do. And once you understand things in one way, going back to your other ways of drawing is very easy. But you'll understand how to draw other things better now. Your style is not that. Your style is your knowledge combined with your art skills plus your imagination. That is what your style is. So one of these is going to be lacking if you don't like your style. Knowledge is the knowledge about the topic. It's also knowledge about perspective and anatomy. Art skills is how you can actually map that anatomy and those perspective points out. Can you actually draw a sphere, or do you think you can draw a sphere? Do you know how to draw things in space, like cubes and stuff like that? If you need to draw a cube and you need to see it from underneath, do you have an easy way to be able to draw a cube from underneath? If you have to draw a cube from the top, do you have an easy way to draw it from the top? About something in the middle, stuff like that. Using shadows, you can create depth. By literally drawing a dot, you can make something look like there's a light source or that it's bouncing up and down between sections. Little tiny lines can indicate movement. Yeah, so little tiny things like that just help. What has inspired you to make art the most lately? Not much, honestly. Like, I have been in this gigantic slump. Like, I have personally felt incredibly drained lately. Like, and it's not burnout. It's more so like a lack of understanding if I still love doing what I love. And as I'm getting to like 20 years in my career, you know, you come to realize like, damn, dude, like I've done it so long and I have not achieved what I needed to for so long. Do you still want to continue doing this? And I've been struggling with that. Toss a hat on one face. Okay. Hats are easy. Hats, all you got to do is draw a circle around your shape at the top of your head and then make that circle come forward a little bit. And that is how you draw a hat. Can you choose a hairstyle? I've always been a big fan of this one. Like little hairstyles with like little buns in the back. So I suggest that one. So anyways, I'm gonna go because now I feel all weird and shit. So I'm just gonna go because I'm not feeling it anymore. I will see you guys tomorrow for another lesson over on TikTok if you guys want to join us early. Or if you guys want to join us later in the evening, probably later in the afternoon, like in the night, I will jump on YouTube and do another little nighttime stream. Okay? Until then, thank you so much for being my sketching buddies. You know, just to let you guys know, the streams that I do here and on TikTok are probably the best parts of my day. So thank you. Thank you for being company. Have a lovely day. Have a lovely night. And I will see you guys soon for another lesson, okay? All right. Take care.